Hey everybody, it's Chideramichelle and thank you for clicking on this video. For today, I wanted to do a video on the Tina Turner documentary that just recently came out on HBO Max. I really enjoyed it. I didn't think I was going to do a video on it. I think I just wanted to watch it to enjoy it, but it was so good and I want to talk about some of the stuff that she discussed in the documentary. So, if you want to learn more, keep watching. Tina Turner has lived a very hard life. She said that she lived a life that she would not wish on anybody. And I believe her, because what she went through in her long, over, I think, 5-decade career is some of the most awful stuff I've ever heard from a pop star, from anybody, period. And I'm glad that she's allowed and has the memory and the cognizance, and I don't know, she's just able to tell her story and have peace with it, and that's amazing. So I wanted to start from the beginning of her story. Tina Turner, from what I already knew, she lived a hard life since their childhood. Her mother and her father left her at a very young age to fend for herself, her and her family. Her mom left. Her mom was abused, physically abused by her father, and eventually she left. But after a couple decades, I think that her mom eventually comes back. But I want to talk about specifically Tina meeting Ike. In the documentary, Tina talks about how she wanted to be a singer and Ike already had a group established, and she met him to be in his band, and he did not want her in the band at first because he didn't think that she could sing, and eventually they develop a relationship over time when she sings for him, and immediately, almost immediately, he starts manipulating her and starts controlling her. She talks about how she was given the name Tina Turner by Ike. She could not dress herself, she could not choose her name, she couldn't choose the dances, she couldn't choose the songs. Everything was in his control. And we're talking more and more in this day and age about manipulative men and being manipulated in relationships and being gaslighted. And this is gaslighting and manipulating 101. Towards the end of their relationship, Ike, once they separated, started to blame her in interviews on their not being together anymore. He blamed her for her being physically abused. And this is how that's how it originally started, of manipulation and him. I wrote that Ike was being very horrible and envious and malicious and was just an awful human being from the get-go. He was envious of Tina Turner because she popped almost immediately. Ike was writing songs, rock and roll songs for other groups, and things were getting stolen from him. And he felt that with Tina Turner that he could manipulate her and use her so that he could not get used. Ike was so abusive in their relationship. Tina tells stories about how Ike would beat her up and then have sex with her right after. She would be swollen all over her body. There was a moment when they were at home with their children and Ike poured or threw hot steaming coffee on her and almost burned her whole body, and her children were hearing this. He would beat her on before getting on stage, he would beat her off stage, and most of the time it was for no reason. Even though there's never a reason to beat somebody or abuse somebody, but literally, he would just come out of nowhere and just slap her across the face. And her friends and people were seeing this, and they weren't saying anything because you couldn't at that time. Still now you really can't. And eventually, while they're in the group and she's being abused, Tina discovers Buddhism. Buddhism, I think that's how you say it, Buddhism. And she becomes very religious because she felt that in the years that she was being abused by Ike, she had no say-so, she had no control, and she felt like she was very weak. But when she found Buddhism and found out religion, she started to develop a backbone and some confidence. And there was one fight that they had in Dallas, Texas, and that was kind of like the last straw for her. And she ends up beating him up. They beat each other up. He falls asleep in the hotel and she leaves and she gets hit by a truck. I did not know that she got hit by a truck when she was running away from Ike. Maybe that was in the movie or maybe I just forgot. But I did not know that she got hit by a truck as she was running away from Ike. And so she runs away from Ike. And the reason I wanted to talk about this is because, number one, Ike, after being exposed as a abuser in the later years when Tina was having her comeback moment, Ike was being rewarded. I mean, in 91, I think they said that Ike got 2-3 Grammys and was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And this was after Tina put out the book and after the movie came out. So this man was getting rewarded as a known abuser, which is why so many people say that these industries enable abuse. Because why is he winning awards even though it is known that he's an abuser? But off of the abuse for a second, because that was very traumatic for Tina, and she hates reliving it. She hated reliving it when it happened. She hated reliving it in the interviews during this documentary. But I specifically wanted to talk about how she felt she was not loved by anybody. Number one, she wasn't loved by her mother. She said she wasn't loved by her husband. She wasn't loved by anybody. She felt very lonely and alone, and the only true love that she felt was with her children. And that is a very sad life to live. I understand her saying I would not want anybody to live my life, because the good does not outweigh the bad, because it's a lot of bad. And hearing her talk about how her label didn't want to sign her because she was black. She had a hard time coming back. She was left with nothing after the divorce. She didn't want anything. She just wanted her name, but she was left with nothing, and she had to start over. And that is trauma that she has to live with for the rest of her life. So that is hard. But I specifically want to talk about her, basically her being the originator of rock and roll and her being not credited for that. The fact that Ike was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and Tina Turner was not is a problem, because Tina Turner is the quintessential example of rock and roll. She is a rock and roll artist. I don't see her as a pop star. I don't see her as R&B. I don't see her as funk. I don't see her as disco. Tina Turner is rock and roll. She is the definition of true rock and roll. She was a performer. She was a dancer. She was amazing at everything that she did. And the fact that she is not credited as one of the originators of rock and roll is a problem for me. And I hope that they give her that. The industry gives her things now that she's said and is proven to be one of the greatest rock and roll stars of all time. But off that, I wanted to talk about her trauma. I don't know if Tina Turner has been to therapy. If she has, amazing for her. But my God, this documentary just really put into perspective how no matter how successful you get, the trauma that you went through at a young age and the trauma that you continue to go through she continued to go through as an adult, it doesn't the stardom and the tours and the money does not just sweep all of that under the rug. I hate when people talk about how success just erases history. That's not how that works. If you're going through a traumatic experience, Tina Turner was abused for almost 2 decades. Like, that's not something that you get away with, that you get over just quick, fast, and in a hurry. And so when these interviewers in the 80s, when she was making her comeback and she was doing interviews without Ike, these interviewers asking her, so where's Ike? Are Ike and you guys separated? What happened with you and Ike? Are you and I gonna get back together? Why are you alone? Why are you not with the Ikeettes in the group anymore? Ike. And she's having to relive this trauma over and over and over again. And it's just like, bro, stop asking me. Stop asking me. I told you the first time. I told you the first 100 times. We're separated. We're divorced. I don't want to hear these questions anymore. I don't want to relive this. I don't want to relive the hardest moments of my life. I want to be left alone. I don't even want to be in this interview right now. That's how she was feeling. I don't want to even do these interviews. And so when her new manager told her to write the book, and the movie was going to come out with the amazing Angela Bassett, one of my favorite actresses of all time, one of the best black actresses, one of the best actresses period, one of the best actresses period. Angela Bassett played Tina Turner. The reason that her manager wanted her to do the movie was because maybe this will stop the questions, and it did not stop the questions. In fact, it did the total opposite. And I feel like Tina Turner in this documentary felt some type of, expressed regret for the book and for the movie. She felt that it just opened a big can of worms, and that it was like she explained it as opening Pandora's box, or somebody in the documentary explained it as opening Pandora's box. She did not enjoy anything about that experience, and I don't blame her, because when you think about it, it's like there's a movie about me experiencing abuse. And when she was doing a press conference about the movie, she said, I have never seen the movie and I don't want to see the movie. I don't know if she's seen it now, but I can completely understand why she would never want to watch that movie ever, and never read the book ever again, honestly. She also talked about how starting over was not necessarily her choice. I think I touched on this earlier, but she didn't want to do it anymore. The only reason why she wanted to become a new different star and separate is because she had no other choice. She said she was not educated. She had to take care of her 4 children. She had no other choice but to start over and to become a new star and to become the brand new Tina Turner, and not the anime that was with Ike and Tina. She wanted to start over, change her hair, change her look, change her style. 1, to forget what happened in the past, but 2, to make more money. She was doing shows in Vegas for years before she met her manager because she had no money. All the money had dried up. She got all the bills that Ike was sending to her because he wasn't paying for anything anymore. So she had to literally start from the bottom and work her way up again, which is hard. All of this sounds awful, and it sounds like something I don't want to experience ever in my life. But also, something I did not realize is how old she was. I mean, I've always known Tina Turner because I'm young. I've always known Tina Turner to be an older woman who was amazing at what she does. But I did not realize that when What's Love Got to Do with It came out, she was 45. 45 with a pop single and a hit album, Private Dancer, touring around the world in the 80s, in her 50s. This day and age, they call you old at 23. You're aged out at 28. You're old. You're considered old at 30 nowadays in the entertainment pop star industry. They think that Beyonce is old. Beyonce is not old. When you think about Tina Turner's first solo album coming out as a 45-year-old woman, a 45-year-old black woman in the 80s, with stars like Michael Jackson and Janet Jackson coming out and being popping, she was huge. Cyndi Lauper, all those people, huge. And she came out and she was just like, here I am. I'm Tina Turner. I'm here to stay. Here. What? I have endurance. I have the muscles. I have the body. I have the voice. I'm good. This is me. And you're going to love it. And we did. And we still do. Her album blew up and she was touring like crazy. But speaking of her influence on artists and artists that are similar to her, I had no other choice but to compare her to like Janet Jackson and Madonna and Beyonce and Britney Spears, because she is like it's like the direct lineage of Tina Turner. All of these other women are Tina Turner's daughters, okay? These are her children. And this is another reason why I don't think she gets enough respect. She's not mentioned in the entertainment arguments of Michael Jackson and Janet Jackson and Beyonce and people like that. She needs to be in that. She needs to be in that category because she is up there. She was touring 80 to 100 something countries all over the world and was selling out stadiums. Selling out stadiums in the 80s and the 90s. She is like no other. She is the quintessential example of a pop star. Hello. Okay? Give her props. So her influence on people like Beyonce, you feel that. now that when I think about it, I'm like, Beyonce has to have been influenced by Tina Turner, because it's right there. It's right there. I also wanted to talk about her relationship with America. Tina Turner don't fuck with America. Understandably. That lady got married. Who was that? That lady got married to her now amazing husband, and has been living in Switzerland for years, and is like, I'll come to America when and I do not blame her, because America treated her like shit. I'm sure that the reminder of America is traumatizing and brings up bullshit in her spirit. She don't want to think about. She said that Europe liked her music better. They liked her when her first solo song, River Deep Mountain High, came out. An amazing song, by the way. That was like one of the original rock songs. Listen to that song again. That song is ahead of its time. But yeah, the label was racist. She was meaning abusive people. I'm sure she does not F with America for a proper reason. So she met her husband in the 80s, and they fell in love, and they just got married recently. They were together for 27 years before they got married. Wow. And they live in Switzerland, and living in an amazing, beautiful, big-ass house with amazing things in it, with a nice, beautiful garden and water and trees everywhere. She is living her best life now in her 80s. And she deserves it. She deserves a break. Tina Turner deserves a break. A shout out to her amazing husband for giving her a kidney as well. I read that somewhere, that he gave her a kidney because she had gotten sick recently, and he gave her a kidney. He's a little bit younger than her, so he was able to give her a kidney, and that's also amazing, because it's just like, oh, this is the love that she's always wanted. She felt as though, as a child and as an adult, she was lacking love, and that everybody hated her. So to receive so much love from her husband now, oh my God, what a great like experience to have this love now, and to feel settled now, and to feel grounded now, and to feel at home now. You know, that's amazing. So now she's retired and is at peace and is healing. She is not, I'm not, never gonna say she's at peace. I don't think she says she's at peace. I think that she's trying to find peace now in her 80s. And I applaud her for that. Once again, like she said, the good does not outweigh the bad. I would not do this again. That abuse, I would not want to put that on anybody. And I 100% agree. She is not goals for me. I don't want to experience Tina Turner's life. I don't want to relive that. I don't want to do that. So this story to me is sort of like a cautionary tale. Not in a sense of me blaming Tina, but in a sense of this story is just like it makes you think more. It makes you think about the people that you meet, and the relationships that you develop, and how you're treated, and how you have to put yourself first. So it just makes you think in that sense of who's around you. Do you feel at peace where you're at? Do the people that you attract bring you joy or bring you trauma? Like what is going on in your life right now, and how can you fix it now so that down the road shit don't go down bad? And that is what I mean by a cautionary tale. Fuck Ike Turner for life. He is rotting in hell. And God bless Tina Turner. And that is it. That is my review of the Tina Turner documentary. It is amazing. You should watch it and get your tissues ready, because you will cry. You will cry. You will cry, because it is intense. And that is it. Thank you for watching again. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Comment below what you thought of the documentary in this video. Follow me on social media, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye!